she was just sitting there, right there on his doorstep, like she'd been planted by the universe itself. A fluffy white and black cat with fur so thick it looked like she was wearing a winter coat in early spring. He'd open the door, expecting another quiet morning, maybe grab some fresh air, check the weather. Instead, he found those amber eyes staring straight into his soul, unblinking, unflinching, completely certain about something he hadn't figured out yet. Now, here's the thing that stopped him cold. She wasn't meowing for help, wasn't scratching at the door, wasn't doing any of those desperate stray cat things you'd expect. She was just waiting, like she'd already run the numbers, calculated the odds, and decided he was the one. The question was whether he'd be smart enough to realize it. He crouched down slowly, and that's when he saw it. Her fluffy coat wasn't just thick, it was matted in places, tangled with bits of dried leaves and dirt. There was a small cut on her ear, barely healed. But man, the way she held herself, you'd think she was royalty temporarily inconvenienced by circumstance. She tilted her head slightly, studying him like she was conducting an interview. "Where'd you come from?" he whispered. She blinked once deliberately, then stood up and walked straight past him into his house like she'd been paying rent for months. Just walked right in. And if you've ever had one of those moments where life just shifts without asking permission, where something unexpected becomes the best thing that ever happened to you, then you know this feeling. Hit that subscribe button, because what happens next proves that sometimes the animals who need us most are actually the ones saving us. He stood frozen in his doorway, watching this fluffy black and white cat explore his living room with the confidence of a home inspector. She sniffed the couch corner, examined the coffee table legs, investigated the space behind his TV stand. Every movement was careful, calculated, but there was something else underneath, something that looked a lot like hope, trying not to get too loud. She jumped onto his armchair, circled twice, then sat down and looked at him expectantly. "So we're doing this?" he asked, more to himself than her. She tucked her fluffy paws under her chest and closed her eyes halfway. That was apparently his answer. The problem was simple. He had 0 cat supplies. Nothing. It was early spring morning, most stores weren't open yet, and this cat, who he'd already started calling Snowball because of all that white fluff, had clearly been surviving on whatever she could find. He rummaged through his kitchen and found a can of salmon. Not ideal, but it would work. He opened it, dumped it on a plate, set it down. Snowball approached cautiously. She sniffed it once, twice, then looked up at him with those amber eyes. Testing, questioning. "Is this real? Will you take it away? Have I been tricked before?" That look told him everything. This wasn't just a stray. This was a cat who'd learned the hard way that good things don't last, that trust is expensive, and that people leave. He sat down on the floor about 6 feet away. "Take your time," he said softly. "Nobody's rushing you. Nobody is taking anything away." Snowball ate slowly. Between every few bites, she'd glance back at him, making sure he was still there, making sure this wasn't a dream that would evaporate. When she finished, she didn't bolt for the door like he expected. Instead, she walked straight to him, climbed into his lap, and pressed her fluffy head against his chest. Not purring yet, just existing there, testing this new reality one heartbeat at a time. He stayed completely still, barely breathing, afraid any movement might shatter whatever fragile trust was being built. They sat like that until his legs went completely numb, but he didn't care, because something was happening here that went way beyond finding a cat, something that felt a lot like being found. By mid-morning, he'd made a makeshift litter box from a cardboard box and some torn newspaper. Snowball used it immediately, which confirmed what he'd suspected. She'd had a home before. Someone had loved her once. Then something went wrong, and she ended up on his doorstep, choosing him out of all the doors in the world. The next morning brought the real question. Was he ready for this? He worked long hours, sometimes traveled for work, lived alone in a small place. Was he really the right person for a cat who clearly needed stability? He looked at Snowball, who had spent the night curled at the foot of his bed, that fluffy tail wrapped around his face. What do you think, Snowball? You want to stick around, or shall we figure something else out? She opened one amber eye, then slowly stood up and walked the length of the bed to his face. She headbutted his cheek once, twice, 3 times. Then she started purring, a sound that started small and grew until it filled the entire room like a motor made of pure contentment. The debate was over. She'd chosen him, and now he was choosing her back. The pet store opened later that morning. He was the first customer through the door, buying everything: premium food, proper litter box, brush for that fluffy coat, toys he wasn't sure she'd use, even a ridiculous feather wand that looked silly but cost $15, so it better work. First cat? The clerk asked, ringing up the small fortune in supplies. First cat who picked me, he corrected. Back home, Snowball investigated every new item with intense focus. The food received immediate and enthusiastic approval, but the feather wand? That changed everything. The moment he wiggled it, something primal awakened in her. Her pupils dilated, her fluffy body crouched low, and suddenly this dignified, serious cat transformed into a playful kitten. They played for 30 minutes straight, and he watched her remember something she'd forgotten. She hadn't forgotten how to play. She just forgotten it was safe too. Week 2 brought something unexpected. Snowball became fiercely protective. When his friend Jake stopped by, she positioned herself between them, amber eyes locked on Jake like a tiny, fluffy bodyguard. When his sister called on video chat, Snowball sat directly on the laptop keyboard, blocking the camera with her considerable fluff. "Your cat's jealous," Jake laughed. But it wasn't jealousy. Snowball had lost everything once. Now she'd found her person, and she wasn't taking chances. Every time he came home, she was waiting at the door. Every night, she slept pressed against his side, that fluffy tail draped across his arm. Here's what nobody tells you about rescuing animals. You think you're saving them, but really they're teaching you something you didn't know you needed. He lived alone for years, convincing himself he preferred the quiet, the independence, the simplicity. Now, with Snowball claiming every surface, demanding attention, leaving white and black fur on everything he owned, he realized how empty that simple life had been.